I had to take some crying breaks. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Rock Chick Week. This is the last final day. We've gone from Sunday Rewind to Sunday Rewind, talking about my favorite series by my favorite author, Kristen Ashley, and it is time to talk about book 8. Rock Chick Revolution is the final book in the Rock Chick series. It is the story of Allie Nightingale, and she is the sister of Lee and Hank Nightingale, two heroes that we saw earlier in the series. And she's finally getting her own book. She is best friends with Indy Savage. So the series begins with Indy and ends with her best friend, Allie. I have, mixed feelings about this book. I like it. It's not my most favorite. It's not my least favorite. Keeping it from being one of my favorites in the series is the heroine, Allie. Reading the 7 previous books, Allie was not my favorite. Allie was kind of that fiercely independent. She's like the female version of the alpha male. She's like the alpha female. She's bold, and she's definitely a sister of Lee and Hank Nightingale. She, knows no boundaries. She's blunt. She wants to kick ass. She wants to be her own person. She's fiercely independent, and the way that she meddles and sort of aids in the other books and the other heroines of the books getting into trouble and conflict, and she's pushy and kind of aggravating throughout the series. I don't think I'm alone when I say that readers or myself went into this book with, mixed feelings about Allie Nightingale. She's kind of been a pain in the ass for 7 books. But in this book, we realize, of course, there's more to Allie than meets the eye. She's not hard. She may come across as hard in the first 7 books, but in reality, she's got a shell that protects a nice, soft, squishy center. And her hero is Ren. In other Rock Chick books, he has come to the aid of Nightingale Investigations and the Rock Chicks. He's not part of the group. I guess this book is the exception in that the female has all of the connections and the male has sort of been a secondary character in other books, but he steps into the hero role for this one. Ren is also a hard to understand hero, kind of like Lee. I don't feel very connected to Ren. He's part of a complicated family who does have some ties in the criminal underworld. He's not a criminal himself, but he is associated with the very people that Lee and his cop friends and relatives try to distance themselves from. And so Allie and Ren connect one night back in Ava and Luke times, which was book number 5 of the series. There's an incident in that book where Ava's hero Luke and Ren get into a fight because Ren does have feelings for Ava at that time. Well, after that incident, Ren and Allie go off to have a beer, and one thing leads to another. The next morning, Ren accidentally, maybe while he's unconscious, calls Allie Ava. And so she decides then and there it's going nowhere. They can be friends with benefits. That's the nice way to put it. They're going to be nothing but friends with benefits because he gave her the best night of her life, and then he called her another woman's name. So she is not going to let herself fall in love with this guy, except that she falls in love with this guy. And they continue on being friends with benefits for over a year, and the entire time Ren is relentlessly pursuing something more serious, and Allie is putting the brakes on at every possible turn. And in the meantime, she is working to make her own way in life. She's always sort of lived in the shadows of her brothers, and she's always struggled with her own identity, who she is and who she wants to be. Well, Rock Chick Revolution is all about Allie Nightingale finding out who she wants to be. And who she wants to be is a badass private investigator, like her brother Lee. And of course, she's met with opposition. This book deals a lot with the idea that women can do anything that a man can do. Allie is the ultimate feminist. She doesn't let anything hold her back, much less her gender. This book also deals with more family drama than some of the others. Because Allie has these alpha, strong-minded brothers, of course they don't want their baby sister getting involved in a career that's as dangerous as being a private investigator. They don't want her carrying a gun. They don't want her going undercover as a stripper. They don't want her doing these things. And so there's a great family dynamic in this book that we're kind of lacking in the books before. Even though this is a tight-knit group, and even though some of them are literally related, the family drama doesn't come into play until Rock Chick Revolution, when Hank, Lee, Allie, and their parents really have it out about how they can no longer shelter Allie Nightingale, and how they cannot hold her back, and how she is determined to make her own way, even if it dissolves some of the bonds that she has with the most important people in her life. So it's definitely a revolution. It is a perfect title. It's definitely about a badass chick. It's definitely about breaking stereotypes and being your own individual. And in the meantime, there's a really sweet love story. And we really learn about the sweetness of badass Allie Nightingale. And so for that reason, the book is good. Yeah, so this is the longest book, which makes sense. I mean, it's wrapping everything up. It's bringing everything into a close. We also get a really great look at the future. Epilogues are not unusual in the romance genre. A kind of look ahead into the truly happy ending that each of our characters have. And this is no exception. We get a badass epilogue where we find out how amazingly happy the entire crew is. It's a really good close to the series. It's the kind of thing where you're sad to see it go. I hated reaching the end, and I really am tempted to start all over again. That's what's great about this series. By the time you read the 8th book, you want to read the first one again, and each time you do, there's something else that reaches you, that affects you. And you know, think whatever you want about romance novels and the genre in general, but the truth of the matter is they wouldn't be so successful, and they wouldn't be read by so many people if there wasn't some merit to them. Whether they're entertaining, or whether they're touching, or whether they're, you know, an escapist fantasy for people to get lost in for a little while. Whatever it is, it can't be denied that there's something in romance novels that keeps people coming back for more, that keeps people enthralled, that has people spending billions of dollars, millions, maybe millions, probably more like millions of dollars every year on romance novels. They're not talked about a lot on BookTube. Nobody wants to mention it. People talk badly about them more often than they talk favorably about them. But I'm here to tell you, I've been a romance reader for a couple of decades, and no, these books are not going to change the world, but they change me, and I change. And when I reread them, it's like reading a different book. This has been like reading a different series, because my perspective on life has changed. And there's something timeless about romance novels. So regardless of your personal feelings about romance, please know and understand that this series and truly this author has provided me with more entertainment and laughs and feels and excitement and inspiring views on friendship and happily ever afters than anything else. And that's why it's my favorite, that's why it's important to me, and that's why I wanted to give it its fair share of time and attention on my BookTube channel. So thank you so much for watching this week. If you're not gonna read them, fine, you don't have to, but thank you so much again for everything BookTube. I will see you all very soon.